guys, I'm Sarah and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a recent reads video. This is mostly going to be like a February reading wrap up, but I do have a few books I finished the first week of March, so I thought I'd just mention them too. Also, I just want to announce that I did not get a chance on March 1st due to some health reasons I was dealing with, I didn't have a chance to put up a video saying that the book I have a story published in, Where Giants Fall, is now available. It released March 1st. If you are unfamiliar with this, it is an anthology of fantasy short stories that 14 authors, including me, have put together, and I'm very excited. I've heard it's been doing really well on Amazon, and it's available in ebook and paperback now, and it's really pretty, really gorgeous. Sorry for the fingerprints. These covers are bad for that, but yes, the book is now out. I will leave a link in the description below so you can find it if you're interested. And yeah, it's been getting some positive reviews and people seem to like it, and I hope if you guys read it you will enjoy it too. I haven't even read all of it yet. Pretty much I only know my own story, so yeah, I will be hopefully reading this one soon because it's kind of embarrassing. I'm published in a book that I haven't even read yet. Also, I have a couple of carryover, but anyways, whatever. Okay. Restart. Okay. Anyways, so aside from that news, we'll just now get into what I've been reading. I have a couple books that I have not finished yet that I'm still reading. One is an e-arc I got from the author. It is called A Tale of Gods and Glory by Nikki Chapelway. It's a fantasy. I'm still only like 16% of the way through it. I have not finished it. I need to get on the ball with that one because, yeah, I just need to read more of it. But I was still reading that one. I'm also still reading Alice in Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass. I picked this up. I've never read this fairy tale before, this classic before, and I needed to do it for the story-inspired soaps that my family does. We have a couple particular ones I thought would fit Alice in Wonderland, but I never read the story before, so I'm doing that as research. And yeah, I'm about halfway through it. I finished Alice in Wonderland, and I am now reading Alice Through the Looking Glass. I'll have more of an update on that when I actually finish it, which is not yet. Okay, so to the books I read in February for the most part. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this to work. Go away. Well, this could be interesting. We'll see if I can get this thing to go away. Anyways, the first book I finished was The Beast and the Enchantress by Camille Peters. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It's part of the Villains Ever After series. I finished that earlier in February, and yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. Yeah, I didn't really think I would. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I don't usually do very well with those, but it was really sweet. Really a very cute story, and it's mostly a romance though, so if you don't really like a particular romance, plot without any other subplots or anything, this one's probably not the best for you because it's pretty much just focused on the romance. So, that is something to consider if you don't really like that in your books. So, but yeah, I really liked it, and yeah, we're just gonna move on. A lot of these I'm not gonna give too much of a description on because I found I am very bad at it, at least for now, and I have quite a few books, so I'm just gonna try to do these. Mostly I'm just gonna do my thoughts on it. If you want to learn more about the book, I will leave all of these books, their Goodreads links down below, so you can check them out and see if you want to read them for yourself. Okay, so the next books I finished was, I'm not quite sure how to say her name. I believe it's Carabosse and the Spindle Spell by Sylvia Mercedes. That's probably not how you say her name. I apologize if I said that incorrectly. This is a Sleeping Beauty retelling. It is also a part of the Villains Ever After series. This one is probably the one in the series I like the least. I still gave it 4 stars, but I don't know, I just still, probably out of all of them, if I were to rank them from the ones I like the most to the ones I like the least, this one would probably be the one I like the least. I'm not quite even sure why. Out of all these, I felt like the romance was the quickest in this one, which is kind of weird since they're all novellas. So, you know, the romance is quick anyways, but I felt this one was a little more unrealistically quick. It didn't feel as natural as some of the others, and that's not a bad thing because it still worked and I was still a fan of it and the characters that got together and stuff. But it did feel a little kind of like, okay, you guys need a little bit more time together before you're in love, but you know, it still works. Yeah, and the Sleeping Beauty elements were very interestingly woven. I thought the world building in this one was really interesting since like magic is something you can weave in a spinning wheel, which was very interesting. And I did like our main character, Karabas, or Kara, I'll call her that because I don't know how to say her full name. And yeah, it was just a really fun read and I enjoyed it. Okay, so the next one is actually the last book in the series I read, and that is Bluebeard and the Outlaw by Tara Grace. This is, yeah, I don't remember what all these, oh yeah, actually I do. Beast and Enchantress was number 1, this is number 3, and the Spindle Spells number 12. So, those are the numbers, not that they're all standalones. I've mentioned that before in previous videos where I've reviewed these books. But anyways, this is a mashup of Bluebeard, which is a Grimm's fairy tale, I believe. I don't actually know. It's one of the more obscure ones. I really don't know anything about it except that the guy murders his wives. Yeah, that's about all I know about it. But this is a combination of that fairy tale and Robin Hood. And this was super fun. I really enjoyed this. Robin, our main character, Robin, is probably the craziest character I have ever read from, who is not, you know, like mentally unstable. She's just nuts. And that was really fun. The most interesting thing about this one, I really liked how the two tales were mashed together, and I really liked that. But my favorite parts are actually the end. In the paperback version, there's like a couple extra, like there's like an extra short story and a couple extra things, and I actually ended up liking those more than the bulk of the story, which was interesting to me. Even though I really liked this book, I really liked the story, but I just really liked those parts the best. I don't know if they're included in the Kindle, so I don't know. Be aware of that if you want to read the short story that's included at the end of this. I don't know if that's in the Kindle version, so, but yeah. But I just thought that was very interesting for me to just like that the most. And yeah, I still gave this one 4 stars. I really like it, and I really like this cover. It's very, very pretty, but I like the covers of all of this series. They're very pretty. Okay, so the next one I did was my ebook for the month. I'm trying to do, as part of my reading goals, read an ebook or a nonfiction a month because I have a ton of ebooks that I need to get through, and this was the one that I got. I got this from the author in exchange for a review, and that is Fled for Refuge by Christina Hall. I don't know if you can see that there. Sorry about the glare on the screen, but yeah, this is a Christian dystopian story. It just came out, and it was very good. It was very different than a usual dystopian. There's no, like, take over the government plot, you know, overrun the government, kick them out type of thing. It's more like a real-life situation where Christians in America are persecuted, or maybe other religions. She's mostly focusing on Christians, obviously. And, like, you know, food and water's being poisoned by the government, and people are under their control, and you're just trying to stay away, and it's very real events thing, so kind of creepily close to home and the way our world could potentially end up and is going in some ways. But yeah, I liked it. I gave it 4 stars. It was very suspenseful, even though nothing really happened. I mean, throughout the whole book, it's not like they're being chased, and there's like, literally, there's only like 2 shootout scenes, one at the beginning, one at the end, and that's literally it. For a dystopian, you know, like Hunger Games or Divergent or any of those types, it was very interesting reading a dystopian with not very much action. It was pretty much all like internalized stuff, and it was interesting. It was a suspenseful book but not in the suspense you might think it is, if that makes sense. It was very interesting. I did like the questions it raised for me to just think on personally of like, what would I do in this situation? Or, you know, if these things came about, how would I react? Would I be like this particular character? And there's one character who makes it, I'm not going to say anything for spoilers, but he makes a bad choice. And the way the characters reacted, I didn't really like, but it was a potential for they could react that way. And then I was just thinking of the character's decision. Then I was thinking, it's easy for us to judge, but would I have made the same choice in that situation? If I had been pressured enough, would I have broken too? And it's interesting. I like questions like that where it's just like, it just makes you think of like, what would I do? And like, you know, how you ground yourself more in your faith or whatever, in that just deciding for yourself, if this situation were to happen to me, could I do that? Or would I break? And it's just very thought-provoking that way. I did not mention this in my review on Goodreads because I kind of forgot, but I did also find the characters kind of flat. Like, there's no, like, discerning characteristics about each of them, aside from, like, whether they're Christians or not, and I don't know, I would have liked a little more interest of other things. I actually, this is one of the few stories where I will continue to read the next two, because it's a trilogy, because I liked the suspense and the way she asked the questions, but not for the characters. There's very few books that I actually read where I'm just fine about the characters, but I like the story enough to keep reading it. So, that's that one. Anyways, kind of got off on a long rant on that one, and yes, I got that free from the author for review, and just, it was really good. I'm looking forward to the second one. I think it comes out April or May, I think. Don't quote me on that. Okay, the next book I read, which was another goal of mine, was to reread a book or a series a month. I'm going to cancel the reread a whole series in a month, because that's not working out. I tried that this month. Because I did manage to read 3 of them, but it was a little stressful, and I was just kind of like, no, I think I'll just gonna cut it down to a book a month. So if I do a series, I'll just do like 1 a month. That sort of thing, if that makes sense. Anyways, this one is an old childhood favorite of mine. This is Dangerous Rumors by R.E. Torsen. It's part of a kind of series of Mystery Vacation. This was released by Stephen Felt for Pony Book Club, and I actually read this first in the library when I was younger. The cool thing about it is they use, let me see if I can find some, like, stage photographs to help tell the story. And I always thought that was really interesting. A lot of books don't do that, and this one's just a nostalgia thing. Basically, this one girl goes to her cousin's farm horse farm in Portugal, and there's somebody accusing her cousin's mother of animal abuse. So, yeah, it's very basic story, very basic. One of the decisions they made to kind of like sneak into somebody's house to find evidence to then produce that he was the bad guy was kind of like, that's faulty reasoning, because the police are not going to believe you if you go and break in someone's house and find evidence. But, you know, that was pretty much its only flaw. It's very basic, very short, and I really liked and enjoyed reading it again. I gave this one 4 stars. Nostalgia is 5 stars, but, you know, being realistic to the way I read now, it's a 4-star. Yeah, so then the next book I finished was another reread in the same series, and that is Scorned, by the same author. This one I'd only read once. I read it in the same library I got the other one, but they then lost the book after I read it once, which was a problem for my childhood library. They often lost books. I don't know if people just stole them because they were new, or they didn't get new books very often. So, anyways, and this is just basically, this one's the only one in the series that I don't really know where the vacation part comes in, because they don't really leave their home stable. Pretty much the only vacation part is they're on spring break. Don't really think that counts. But anyways, this is just basically following a girl who, she's been in a terrible accident that took the life of her favorite horse that she was riding at the time, and now she feels guilty for his death, but she doesn't remember how it happened, and the whole mystery is what actually happened. And yeah, it was interesting reading again. Again, they use the stage photographs to tell the story. but I don't know, it was interesting. I didn't really think I would like this one as much as I did, because I'd only read it once, so I didn't really remember all of it, and I don't know, I liked their portrayal of Helen's the main character, going through her grief of losing this horse, and a lot of people not understanding stuff. I've been in that situation myself, and I don't know, I liked the way the author handled it, and it was just very, like, sympathetic, and it made sense, and it's just, you know, it made sense, and was very real, and I really liked that. So I gave this one 4 stars for pretty much that alone. Story-wise, it would probably be more 3, but I enjoyed how she wove that in, so I gave it a 4 star. Okay, let's see. The next book I finished was, this was I'm part of a Goodreads group, and we do a book of the month. Our book of the month this month, for February, was The False Prince by Jennifer A. Nielsen. I've never read this book before, so I was very excited, very interested to see what it was about, because I've heard so much about it on, like, BookTube and YouTube and just everywhere, and I decided to try it. I gave it 3 stars. I also knew the big plot twist towards the end, so that may have a count for the lower rating. I still enjoyed it. I thought the middle part at, like, the Connor's estate, I thought that was slow, and, like, could have been sped up a little bit, or something more interesting could have happened. Yeah, that was a little slow for me, and because then once I left there, it picked up again. And while I like the main character, Sage, and I like his kind of sarcastic comments and views on life and stuff, I found his sarcasm at the beginning very caustic at times. It was very, like, mean, and I was just kind of like, I don't really like this. Yeah, I thought his sarcasm throughout the whole thing would be more like along the lines of Percy Jackson, that type of sarcasm, as opposed to just kind of caustic and mean at first. I mean, he did have some funny parts, and he got better towards the end of, you know, not acting so much that way, but I did find that a little off-putting in the beginning, which did decrease my rating. And also, the characters I didn't connect with as well, but I did like a lot of the plot twists and how the author basically wrote an unreliable narrator. I thought that was very interesting, because the only other book that I've read that kind of has that is Dust by Kara Swanson, because Peter Pan in that one is kind of a unreliable narrator in a sense of his side of the story that he's telling. So yes, I thought that was very interesting, and then knowing what I did about the plot twist, it was very interesting reading it to see how she wove in things that it's like, if you read this again, you'd be like, oh, so that's what that meant, you know, because it's like, sorry, I'm shaking the camera. It was very much, it all lined up in the end, and it made sense. So yes, I did enjoy it. I will continue at least to what was the original trilogy. It is now a series. It has a couple more books to it, but I will continue to at least what was the original trilogy. If I'm just so-so by then, I won't read the other 2, but yes, I still enjoyed it enough. Yeah, okay. And the next 2, I'm just going to do these 2 together, even though I finished this one yesterday and not in February. In February, I finished Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, which is book 6. And yesterday, in March, I finished Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. So, I have officially finished the Harry Potter series. I gave both of these 5 stars. These are really good, really amazing, and now I'm going to try to get the movies, because I'm very interested to see how they adapted these and into movies and stuff, especially this chunker, because I'm curious of, like, how I can see why they split it into 2 movies. But yes, I did finish those. I can't say too much about it. Obviously, it just continues Harry's adventures at Hogwarts and beyond. And yes, and concludes it. And Deathly Hallows is one of the best end books of a series, in my opinion. So yes, I did finish both of these huge books. And I'm very happy to have read the series and to have, you know, tried it. And now I have my own opinion on it. So, I really like that. Anyways, the last book I finished in February after the Half-Blood Prince was another reread. So I technically did 3 rereads this month, and that is Lost in the Wilderness by, still R.E. Torson. She kind of changes her name at one point. And This one's just basically another of the photo type mystery telling of basically this girl is taken, her parents take her into the wilderness to go on an expedition, but then she gets left behind at a ranch because they don't, think she'll be interested in the expedition, so they leave her behind and they go instead, and then she has adventures from there. A horse goes missing and chaos ensues from there. This is one of my favorites. I got this when I was older. I didn't read this until I was a little, probably like a teenager, and I bought this. I really enjoyed it. I read it a lot. Yes, 4 stars. I really enjoyed this still. Some of the scenarios were kind of like, I don't know if it would have actually worked out that way or the wild animals would have reacted that way, but I still enjoyed it. It's still a good time. The story's still good, so it holds up. So, 4 stars. And the last 2 books I've read that I technically finished these in March, so these are not February anymore. I finished Deathly Hallows and these 2 in March. And that is a manga series my friend Laura has been talking about a lot, and that is A Sign of Affection. I finished volume 1 and 2. So, I gave volume 1 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was super cute. Very much just chill. It's a romance between these two, Yuki, who's a deaf girl, and this guy who I don't really know how to say his name, so I'm just not gonna try it. I don't do very well in Japanese, but she's deaf, so sign language is incorporated into it, which I've read before in a manga, A Silent Voice. That series I read last year, and so it was very interesting to kind of start reading this manga this year with the same type of scenario, at least with a deaf girl using sign language. And yeah, a lot of the other signs were more explained in this one than A Silent Voice, which I appreciated because I don't really know sign language. I especially don't know Japanese sign language as opposed to American, because yes, they are different. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I gave volume 2 3 stars. I still enjoyed it, but not a lot happens in these. It's very much slice of life, just getting to know people stuff. But sorry. And this one in particular, I kind of decreased it because the main guy, he does sometimes kind of touch Yuki or get in her space without like asking first sometimes, and I am personally uncomfortable with that, so it's kind of like I'm a little hesitant about that. So that's he did a little bit more in this one. I mean, she says it's fine. She tells him it's fine if he does that. So it's just a personal thing for me that got a little uncomfortable at times. So that is the reason I decreased this one by 1 star. Yeah, I have volume 3. I'll probably read that soon. I don't know if I'll continue beyond that. If my library gets the rest of the volumes, I will, but this is probably not a series I would like buy for myself. Yeah, I just don't. I like it. It's cute, but it's not great. In my opinion, for me to buy a book, it has to be really, really good. But yes, I will definitely continue the series after volume 3 if my library gets them. If they don't, obviously I won't. But yes. And that is all. Pretty much those are all the books I've recently read. February wrap-up. Also, just as another reminder, which is now at the bottom of this book pile because that was dumb of me, Where Giants Fall is now out. Yeah, if you want to, pick up a copy and leave a review letting all of us authors know what you thought of it and of the stories inside. There's a variety of fantasy stories from what I've heard in reviews, because I myself haven't read the book yet and I need to. But anyways, yeah, that's all from me for today. Yeah, just let me know if you want to discuss any of these books in the comments and down below, and just maybe tell me a book you read this past month of February, or your last recent read. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye!